Okay, so at this part of the installation process, after finishing the installation of the camera, or the cameras, or configuring the domes, in this case, in the previous video that you have seen, the next phase is to configure the wiring. Of course, installing the wiring. In this case, we have already had the wiring installed. At this location, at this juncture, most of the wiring that was present here was improperly installed, so a number of cables are unusable in this case. Here's majority of them, as I have identified no power going through those cables. Now this system, these cables were installed 2 years ago approximately, and they were pulled through the walls and done by unlicensed, uncertified people, volunteers in this case. What I have done is I have tested the wiring, and out of the 16 cables that I have found present, I've salvaged 11 cables. That seems to work fine. The rest are not working. So in addition, I have cleaned up some of the work, but what I would like to show you here, all the cables that come into a DVR system, prior to coming into the DVR system, we installed this box assembly, this juncture box, and we call it, it's just a wire box where all the cables get configured in and pulled in, and then looped, as I'm going to show you here, to the DVR. In this case, the DVR is located just below the box. The box brings all the cables, the transformers get plugged down below, and it makes some of the thousands and thousands of feet of cable disappear out of sight. Here's the current installation at this location. We have a total of 4, which is 8, 9, 10, 11 cameras out of 16. We're going to be looping a secondary monitor. These are the pan-tilt zoom domes that you have seen me install. At this time, they're in a search pattern. They're actually patrolling the area independently. So I know they work because I'm looking at them. We've installed them properly. There's configuration settings that needs to be set up. But for the time being, here's a quick display of the PTZ settings for this particular camera. You can have a joystick attached, or you can use the mouse provided, and you can scan the parking lots. You can zoom into certain license plates or certain vehicles simply by clicking the zoom in button. You can pan up, pan down, left. You can also set up patrol zones or areas that you want to inspect specifically. You can do a bunch of settings, do a bunch of things with these settings here. But simply to just give you a quick display on this PTZ camera that you've seen before, you've seen earlier, this is how it works. And it's configured when it's configured in a multiplexed screen or a DVR, this is what it looks like. Now this particular DVR is a Lorax DVR, and those are Lorax cameras out there, and so you can do a number of cool things with the DVR. Allow picture-in-picture display, various type of picture-in-picture formats. You can change the resolutions. You can change quality of cameras. You can add cameras. You can remove cameras. You can crop cameras. You can move. For instance, I can move this particular camera here to this location if I wanted to. As you see here, I can drag, click and drag basically. And all this is remotely available and accessible from the internet. Now, what I have is I have a number of cameras that are displayed on the screen, and we're going to be looping an additional set of cameras down here. All the cables that go to those cameras come in from this DVR. This DVR is again, a Lorex DVR. It has an HDMI plug. All the cables are plugged down underneath there in the ports. That includes the pan tilt zoom dome. And then this is the wire box that we call the wire box. It's basically a box that we pull all the wires into, the excess wires, before we plug them into the DVR. At this juncture, we are set for this installation to move into phase 3, which means that we're going to be configuring the additional DVRs and the additional cameras. Now that you've seen this other session or this other phase of installation, I'm actually in the process of demonstrating how to install the DVR. A DVR, we have currently a DVR in there which allows 16 cameras plugs. It's a 2 terabyte hard drive DVR, manufactured and installed, or manufactured by Lorex and installed by us. Here's a secondary DVR that comes prepackaged in the Lorex box. This DVR is a 2 terabyte 1080p HD recorder. It allows for 16 ports. We're going to be adding this DVR to the system here to create a loop of cameras. Now, if you look at this DVR, this has 16 ports, which means I can plug in 16 different cameras. It has an HDMI port, which goes into the back of the computer, or monitor, that is. A USB drive for mouse. It has the internet cable or LAN there. The plug for the 12-volt DC. Of course, and a VGA port for a monitor if you wanted to install a monitor. It also has front function controls for up, down, left, record, function button, and of course the power button. And it has a display of what particular settings the DVR is doing at that time. Lorex manufactures these, and they put these barcodes on here, as you can see, for easy connectivity and easy installation. If you have a smart device or smartphone, all you got to do is scan that barcode, and it would automatically configure itself once you plug it to the internet. The system also comes with a manual, quick startup guide, flashcards, and when I say the system, I'm talking about the DVR itself. And it also has an HDMI cable, a remote, of course the 12-volt DC plug, and a internet cable here, or Cat5. So at this point, inside this location, we're going to add this additional DVR. The first thing I'm going to do is make room for the DVR to sit in. And I begin by simply opening first the DC adapter, the power adapter. And I've already pre-wired a VGA cable that goes up to that TV up there that I'll show you later. And that VGA cable is going to be used to display the video from the DVR. So here we go. We're going to first position the DVR in this location. I'm now plugging in the DVR VGA cable that shows that connects to TV. And now I'm going to plug in the power. Now I'm going to conceal this cable and make it easier to be used for later purposes. But at this point I'm just displaying it. So I plug in the power adapter. And of course I plug it in to the DVR, and then I turn the DVR on by pushing the power. Now there's a power setting here that you push to turn the DVR on. Then I turn the monitor on, and once the monitor comes on, I'm going to have to find the setting for let's see, for the display to automatically, oh there we go, automatically found it. So there's our DVR setting. So at this point the DVR is connected. That's the DVR down there. The monitor is displaying the cameras, and we move on to the next phase. So now that I have attached the additional DVR here, and I've actually looped it. By looping I mean I've attached what we call is a T adapter, basically from one coaxial or one or BNC cable, video cable, to the other BNC cable and to the other. So therefore you've got a loop. So between these two DVRs, that is the existing DVR that we just installed and the current DVR that functions as a loop, we have what's called a loop display on the cameras. These are the live video feed cameras with a loop on a fourplex displaying only the pan tilt zoom cameras.